There are so many unit trust funds that are offered by different fund management companies in Sri Lanka. Out of all those funds, what's the number one unit trust fund in Sri Lanka? Well, that's the question that I'm going to answer in this video. Make sure to watch this video till the end because the answer might surprise you. Now, before getting started, this video is sponsored by Capital Alliance Limited, one of the leading investment banks in Sri Lanka. CAL offers so many investment opportunities for individuals like you and me, as well as for corporate and institutional investors. And also, they have a range of unit trust funds that I invest on a regular basis. Now, if you haven't watched all the videos in this series, make sure to check them out. In the first video, I shared what a unit trust is and how you can get started. In the second video, I shared all the different fund types that are available in Sri Lanka. And in the third video, I discussed 7 benefits of investing in unit trusts. And in the previous video, I deep dove into different unit trust fees that are applicable to unit trust funds in Sri Lanka. If you haven't watched those videos, make sure to check them out. I'll add the links in the description below. Now, before revealing the number one unit trust fund in Sri Lanka, there are a couple of things that you need to consider before selecting a fund. Let's learn what those are first. The first thing you need to consider is the fund type. If you watch the second video in this series, by now you should know that there are different types of funds when it comes to unit trusts. You get income funds, you get growth funds, you get money market funds, you get gilt-edge funds, and the fund type has to match your investment objective. What do I mean by this? Well, imagine if your investment objective is to get a stable return with a fairly low or a moderate risk, then you can choose an income fund. Or let's say you have an excess amount of cash that you want to invest for a short term and get an attractive rate, then you can select a money market fund. Or let's say your investment objective is to invest in the stock market or the equity market, then you can choose a growth fund. So your investment objective has to match the fund type. That's the first thing that you need to consider before selecting a unit trust fund. Right, the second thing that you need to consider is the fund performance or the fund return. This is the most obvious thing. What's the return that you are going to get by investing in this fund? So how can you find out the fund performance? All you have to do is check out the fund fact sheet. Keep in mind that past performance does not guarantee a future return, but in this case you can get a fairly good idea if you look at the performance of the particular fund that you are going to select. That's the second thing that you need to consider. The third thing that you need to consider is fund size. Now, why does the fund size matter? Because when you are investing in a bigger fund, there are a lot of assets under management, and all those management fees will be divided among a lot of unit holders. So that's why the fund size matters. The next thing you need to consider is the investment mix. Most unit trust funds, they invest in multiple assets. If you take the CAL income fund for an example, that fund invests in treasury bills, treasury bonds, debentures, securitized paper, repo agreements, as well as bank deposits. And when you are investing your money, you are investing essentially in all those assets. Now, if you don't want to invest in a particular asset, you should not select a fund that has invested in that particular asset. Did I make sense? So that's why it is important to consider the investment mix of a certain fund. Now, how can you learn about the investment mix? All you have to do is again check out the fund fact sheet. For an example, if you want to learn where the CAL income fund has invested, just visit the CAL website and you can download the fund fact sheet to learn more about all those different assets. The next thing you need to consider is the underlying asset ratings. Different rating agencies like ICRA and Fitch, they rate the instruments that the fund has invested. If you check out a fund fact sheet, you can find out the different ratings that each investment instrument has received. Now, the ratings range from AAA to D. AAA is considered as the highest degree of safety, whereas D is considered at a risk of default. Now, according to the definitions that are given by the rating agencies, BBB to AAA is considered as investment grade. What does investment grade means? That means those assets are low to moderate risk assets. Now, if you want to learn the different definitions that these rating agencies has given, make sure to check the description in the below. I'll add some links as well as some resources for you to learn more about the different definitions for these ratings. The next criterion that you need to consider is fees. Now, if you watch the previous video in this series, you should know that when you are investing in unit trust funds, there are different types of fees that are applicable. If you haven't watched it, make sure to click the YouTube card above. I'll also add the link in the description below. Now, if you can remember, I mentioned that when the fund management companies declare the return, they usually share the net return. That means they share the return after deducting the management fees as well as any other fixed fees. Now, does that mean that you don't pay any of these fees? Not really. You pay all these fees as a collective. So if you are investing in a fund that has a lot of fees, that means the return that you are going to get is also going to be lower. Whereas if you invest in a fund with low fees, the return that you are going to get is higher. So that is why it is really important to consider fees before selecting a unit trust fund to invest. The next criterion that you need to consider is fund ratings that are given by independent rating agencies. Similar to underlying asset ratings, rating agencies like ICRA as well as Fitch, they provide ratings for different unit trust funds as well. As an example, if you take the CAL investment grade fund, ICRA has rated it as A+, whereas Fitch has rated it as A, and the CAL investment grade fund is also the only fund that has been rated by Fitch. So if you want to learn the different ratings that the CAL investment grade fund has received, I'll add the links in the description below. You can check out the different ratings that this fund has received. So this is another thing that you need to consider before selecting a unit trust fund. The next thing that you need to consider is ease of investing. One of the benefits of investing in units is high liquidity. You should be able to invest and withdraw your money whenever you want, and it should be easy to do. And that's why I have chosen CAL to invest, because when you sign up for the CAL portal, you can easily invest your money as well as you can easily withdraw your money, and this is all seamless and online. You don't have to email proof of payments to an account manager. You don't have to email someone to withdraw your money. You can do all that by logging into their portal. The last thing that you need to consider is the fund management company as well as their track record. When you are selecting a fund, you need to look at the fund management company as well. How does their ownership looks like? Who runs their management? How established are they? Or what other investment products do they have? As well as you need to understand their management as well as governance policies. So that's another thing that you need to consider before selecting a fund. Alright, so those are some of the things that you need to consider before selecting a unit trust to invest. Now let's get back to the first question. What is the number one unit trust fund in Sri Lanka? Well, there's no concrete answer to this question. Why? Because we are two different individuals. Your investment goals can be completely opposite from mine. When you are thinking about retirement, I may be thinking about making a capital gain. Also, your risk tolerance can be different to mine. When you invest at a low risk gilt edge fund, I might invest at a high risk growth fund. So the ideal unit trust fund for you can be different to the ideal fund for me, and this depends on your investment objectives, your circumstances, your risk tolerance, as well as a lot of other things. So there's no such thing as the number one unit trust fund in Sri Lanka. It all depends on who you are and what your goals are and what your expectations are. And the good thing about unit trust is you don't have to stick with one fund. You can invest in multiple funds. That's what I have done with my money. And if you are a beginner and if you are just getting started, I would recommend you to start with a fund like the CAL Income Fund. It's a good beginner fund to get started. And how can you get started with CAL? Well, getting started with CAL is super simple. All you have to do is visit their website and you can sign up for an account at the CAL portal. I'll add the links in the description below. The registration process as well as the onboarding process is completely online, so you can do it from wherever you are and you can sign up at the comfort of your home. So check out the CAL website and I'll add the link to sign up for an account so that it makes your life easier. So thank you so much for watching this video and I hope you learned something, and until my next video, happy investing.